I'm continuing my Resident Evil Story Explained series, but I wanted to try something a little bit different today. Following my Heisenberg video, I noticed a lot of people were asking the same question again and again and again. So if you'll allow me, I was hoping we could speculate wildly and try to answer this fundamental question: what if Ethan Winters took Heisenberg up on his offer and joined forces to kill Miranda?
I don't want to be a part of Miranda's family.
Neither did I, but here we are. And I'm next in line, right? Kill me, move up the chain? Well, fuck that!
If you're not sure what I'm talking about, midway through the game, as Ethan is trying his best to reassemble his daughter Rose, he gets a proposal from one of the lords of the village, Heisenberg himself, who wants to join forces and use Rose to defeat Miranda once and for all, giving him his much sought after freedom. In the game, this is how Ethan reacts.
You and me, Ethan. Together, we can go save Rose, and then we can use her to grind Miranda into paste.
My daughter is not a weapon. Fuck you!
Last chance. You don't want to find out what's in that hole.
I'll take my chances.
You're futile.
Now, what if Ethan had said yes? If Capcom gave players the option to side with Heisenberg, what would that look like? We know that Heisenberg has been building his own robot army with the intended purpose of destroying Miranda. His reasoning for it, based on his own journals, wasn't to now become the new Miranda and have dominion over the village, but to free himself from her controlling megamycete influence. As you may be aware, all of his powers are due to the Cadeau parasite that Miranda infected him with many years ago. In Heisenberg's own words, Miranda didn't just change my body, she took my dignity. If I don't kill her, my life will never be my own. So we have to ask the question, why wouldn't Ethan agree to help free Heisenberg, as he did destroy the Baker family to free Mia from the influence of Evelyn in the previous game? There could be a legitimate moral reason why not. We don't know how using Rose would really affect her. Making her a weapon could cause her pain or even cost her life, which obviously wouldn't work for Ethan. But there's no real evidence, there's no real even indication that that would happen. There are suggestions based on his language, but I don't really think the game gives us an explicit answer as to what would happen to Rose. The game does make it clear, though, that Heisenberg is ruthless, possibly even sadistic. As we see in our first encounter, he puts you through a gauntlet of pain, toying with you in a hope to end your life in one grand spectacle. Why would Ethan trust someone that tried so many times to kill him? In-game, he does apologize and suggests that maybe he was just putting on a show for Miranda, but even giving us that choice, knowing that it wasn't morally absolute, would have been a really interesting direction to take the game. So how would it all work? If Ethan agrees, he joins Heisenberg's army of robots and attacks the ritual site where Miranda would be waiting. If that happens, then Ethan wouldn't have that meeting with Chris, where he explains the very vital information that the Mia he killed was not his wife, but Miranda. So in the player's eyes, if that never happened, Chris would very much still be the villain. So stick with me here. Maybe we would again, like we do in the game currently, take control of Chris at this moment as the mold begins to overtake the village, except this time it would be a three-way battle between Chris and his team, the Lycan mold monsters, and Heisenberg's robot army. This could lead to an exciting conclusion where all three forces meet up with Miranda and a massive battle ensues. This does beg the question, though, how could anyone use Rose as a weapon? In-game, it seems like when Miranda summons Rose, she, by the nature of her lineage, is able to weaken her in some great respect, allowing Ethan to eventually kill her.
Oh, how I've missed you! power is leaving me.
Rose!
What if that happened exactly the same as it does, but this time Heisenberg is there, and so is Chris? It would mean that Ethan wouldn't actually be dying, since he never would have had his heart ripped out by Miranda, if you remember that very pivotal scene. This could also lead to another confrontation between Heisenberg and Chris after they've dealt with Miranda, with Ethan having to decide which person to support. If we didn't know that Mia is alive, this could be a very difficult decision by the player and would lead to a completely different ending and trajectory for the game. But let's assume that the basic storyline, those basic story beats that Capcom intended, did happen. That at some point in the story, maybe after he aligned with Heisenberg, Ethan had an initial confrontation with Miranda and had his heart ripped out and figured out who he really is, but he's still working with Heisenberg. Maybe at that final moment, Ethan would have to decide who should take care of Rose. Currently in the game, there's no decision. Chris is the only one there. But what if now it was Chris and his BSAA or Heisenberg? Assuming, of course, that either way, Mia would be involved. I think if Mia was there and Ethan saw her, all bets are off. That's the person you go with. What we know about the epilogues, though, suggests that Rose isn't being treated very well. Something akin to a weapon, a bioweapon, by the BSAA. And the one thing we know about Heisenberg is that controlling people's free will is not what he's all about. Imagine this, 2 sets of epilogues, the one we have now and another, where Rose is the same age, remembering her father, but she returns to her life in the village, with Heisenberg as a surrogate father and Mia still there protecting her. Of all the possible options, what do you see as the best one? What is the outcome you think could be the most interesting? If these wild what-if scenarios are something you'd like to run with, please comment below if there's any ideas that you think we should discuss. Stay tuned, of course, for the next video in the Resident Evil Explained series.